Imagine getting up every day full of energy as if you were in your 20s again. What would that be like? What would it be worth to you? What is your health worth to you? Think about it. Your health isn't everything, but without it, everything else is nothing. And yet, too many of us are taking it for granted until something goes wrong. And no one wakes up hoping to be diagnosed with a disease or chronic illness. And yet, we've never been taught how to be proactive in our health through our school or public health. As a registered health coach and integrative health practitioner, I believe it's time this information is made available to everyone. Combining new knowledge around your health and the ability to do my functional medicine lab tests in the comfort of your own home will allow you to optimize your health for today and all your tomorrows. Don't wait for your wake-up call. Welcome back to another episode of the Don't Wait for Your Wake-Up Call podcast. I am Melissa Deely, your host, and I am very, very excited and honored to have here with me today Dr. Bruce Lipton. Welcome to the show.
I am so delighted to be here with you, Melissa, because you're one of the cultural creatives, a person who's helping us resolve the issues that the planet is facing at this very moment. The chaos, which is global, whether it's economic, political, social, racial, religious, anything, we're seeing a world in a state of chaos. The most important understanding of this is that how come, if we are creators, which we are, then how come we have such a big mess here? And the answer at some point that we'll get into with Melissa is there's programming involved.
Yes.
And you have lost your power in a development of programming that has purposely disempowered you. And to get through this time is the wake-up call. You need to wake up, get out of this dream world that's actually a nightmare world that we are creating because there's another side to it. I go, what's the other side? I go, have you ever fallen in love and ever right after falling in love experienced something called the honeymoon part, which is what? Life is heaven on earth and it's so beautiful. Well, guess what? You created that. And I go, so what's the issue? I said, then how come it disappears? How come we're not all living heaven on earth every day? Why isn't this planet heaven on earth? Which it is. It's because the programming has disempowered us. And Melissa's work is to awaken a population to recognizing, wait, you're not fully expressing who you really are. You are this creator. So, with all that, I'm now saying again how much I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you, Melissa, because together we can share some very empowering information with the cultural creatives on the other end, the receivers of this, because they're facing a world that if they have more knowledge, they would have more power. And with more power, they would find that they don't have to participate in the world that's falling down. They can participate in the world that's being created, which is a better one.
I love all of that, and I agree wholeheartedly with you. Knowledge and education is power. We don't know what we don't know. And
And what you
that's
don't know has no power because the whole saying is knowledge is power. And then just say the same thing as you just said. A lack of knowledge is a lack of power. What you don't know can kill you. And so here we are with the hour of power. Let's do it.
let's do it. And I'm sure all of my audience knows who you are. However, in case there's a listener that doesn't, I want to just introduce you
With that
because,
much introduction, see, that's a small amount. So we can get
okay,
on to the topic. All right.
I'll keep it very, very short. I will just highlight the fact that Dr. Bruce Lipton is a cell biologist, lecturer, and internationally recognized leader in bridging science and spirit. And I love that part because you found your spirituality through your science and you learned from those cells. He's the best-selling author of The Biology of Belief, The Honeymoon Effect, and other books. And he has received the 2009 prestigious Goi Peace Award from Japan, which I love because I was raised in Japan, and that's something that you had no idea about before coming on this show.
Not at all.
I'm just so excited to be able to have these conversations with you. I've learned from you. I've followed your work. I agree with everything that you share, and it's an honor to have you here.
Oh,
And right before the show, we were already diving in our excitement. I know we're
I
going to
can't
have the
wait because to me
authors.
this is the most exciting stuff in the world that you're offering, Melissa, and I really want to participate because I want to offer a science behind
Mhm.
reality that we are indeed creators. So, okay, I'll be quiet again. Wait for the question.
No, no, no. And I love the science behind it because a lot of people think, oh, that's woo woo. It's out there,
Ah,
right? And you bring the science to it. And
yes,
so let's just start off right with the fact that you call yourself the spiritual scientist. And please share your story and how you came to recognize your spirituality through science and bring the woo woo and the science together.
yes. Okay, so the very first thing is let's recognize the fact. I was a professor in a medical school, and I was teaching doctors to be about cells and biology and histology and embryology and all those things. Okay. And in that capacity, uh, being a biologist, there's no spirituality in that world for us. Oh, it's genes and chromosomes and proteins. And then that's the machine. And then there's life. And then there's dust. And the dust comes back to make more machines again. You know, it's recycling. And that was my belief system. No spirituality. But then I found spirituality, not that I was looking for it. I said, well, how'd you find it? And I go, well, let me give you a very simple reality. Let's say I want to donate a kidney to Melissa, and I give her my kidney. When it goes into her body, guess what? Her immune system's going to look at my cells and say, that's not us. That's somebody else. They know the identity of your cells. But if I put my cells in, there's a different identity. And that the immune system's job then will be eliminate the foreign cells because they're not part of the community. I go, so wait a minute. As an immunologist, which is what I've been teaching for 17 years, I can assure you the immune system recognizes physical things, viruses, bacteria, things like that. Well, I said, well, if they're looking at my kidney in Melissa's body, her immune system is like, what is the immune system looking at that tells the immune system that's not me? And the answer is so cool because on the surface of our cells, the ones with nuclei, not like red blood cells, the ones with nuclei have identity. The red blood cells don't have your personal identity. That's why we can transplant, transfer blood, transfuse blood, because the blood doesn't have your personal identity, but the cells with nuclei generally do. I say, so what is it that makes my cells different than Melissa's cells so that when her immune system looked at it and said, not me? And the answer is this. On the surface of our cells, the ones especially with nuclei, there are proteins which act as antennas like television or radio receiver. So here's the surface of the cell, and I say there's a set of these proteins on the surface, a set of them. It's like a large combination lock. And the name of them, self receptors. Well, you have receptors. Let's get that clear so we know what the cells are doing. You have eyes, ears, nose, taste, touch, pain, temperature. Your receptors are built into your skin to do what? Read the environment. Okay? The proteins called self receptors are built into the skin of the cell, but they extend like the eyes looking out. Okay? I said, so what's their function? Well, originally, the only reason science used them is if you want to transplant an organ, you recognize no two people have the same set of these antennas. And that's why we can't exchange parts with each other. Because my receptors are different than yours, and yours are different than anybody else's. There's no two people with the same set. I said, so what's the point? Well, they were using it for identity. If you want to transplant an organ, you can get an overlap. So let's say here are two different sets, but these two overlap.
Mhm.
The more the overlap, the less the immune rejection. So when they look at who's going to receive the transplant, they
Mhm.
look at all the individual self receptors and find the recipient is going to be the one where there's the most overlap between the donor cell and the recipient cell because it's less aggressive on the immune system.
Right.
Okay. So I say, okay, no two people have this set. And I say, science used them as, oh, that's a physical marker. I go, they missed the point. What's the point? Receptors are receivers. An eye is a receptor, it receives light. Ear is a receptor, it receives sound. Nose receives smell.
Mhm.
Well, self receptors receive something called what? Self. I go, what do you mean? If I cut the self receptors off my cell so Bruce's identity is missing from that cell, I can transplant that cell into anybody. Why? I have a brain cell, you have a brain cell. I have a kidney cell, you have a kidney cell. But my cells are called Bruce's kidney cells. Yours, in this case, is beautiful Melissa's kidney cells. And I go, okay. I said, then the difference is these antennas. I go, yep. But the antennas receive a signal. Wait. It's not just these are different than yours are different. I go, no, they receive a signal. They're on the outside of the cell. Where do you think the signal is coming from? Outside. I said, wait, no two people have the same set of antennas. No. Then guess what? The signals that you're receiving through your self receptors are not being received by another person. You have your own station, so to speak. Well, in physics, quantum physics is the most valid of all the sciences on the planet. Their truths have been proven over and over again to be so close to what was understood when they started to look at the universe with those principles. It's like, yeah, that's the one. I go, so what's important about it? Well, this is very difficult, and maybe we'll have a few minutes later to get into it, but this is going to, if you don't know, this is going to blow your mind right now. And I have to tell you a simple scientific truth, and that is there is no such thing as material physical reality. Oh, come on. I can see that beautiful Melissa. I can even see myself in the screen. Oh my God, I can touch myself. I said, why? Because everything is energy. And you
Mhm.
say, but matter is energy? I go, yes. And I say, how do you know that? And I say, because when physics started to take apart the atom, first they thought it was just like a sand grain with different
Mhm.
kinds of sand grains. Then they found, oh wait, there's something inside the little solar system. Protons and neutrons in the center as particles, electrons as particles running around like satellites, and say, oh, smaller particles. Yeah. But as they took them apart and they got to the fundamental basis, what makes a particle? An energy vortex, the equivalent of a nano tornado, a force field. I go, so atoms are not made out of solid things. No, they're made out of energy that has the character of solid things. But energy's invisible. Okay, now we got a problem. I go, why? Well, look at that smiling face of Melissa over there. I can see that. Thank goodness I can see that. It's very rewarding. I go, but how can I see it if she's made out of energy? And this is when people laugh when I tell the actual truth. I go, we can see her because the lights are on. I go, no, you don't get it. I'll tell you why. Photons of light come from a source. Photons, they're like light particles, okay?
Mhm.
But when they hit the human body, they're reflected back. So the photons coming in are now reflected back. You see the photons reflected back. Underneath a veneer of photons that are coming from all the light, my body is invisible. Oh, come on. I go, I'm sorry. I said, you want me to show you how? I said, you've heard of CAT scan? Did you hear of MRI scans, these new technologies? And they look at the body and they look through it. These devices don't read light. They only read energy. I say, why is that important? Because every structure in your body is an organization of energy. It's its own organism. So the idea, an energy structure is what we perceive as a physical structure when we put light on it, because once you put light on it, the light reflects back and then you can see it. But underneath that light, it's invisible. And that's why a scan system can look right through your body. It's not using light, it's just reading energy fields. Okay. So here we are in an energy world at this point. Okay. And then I say, so what? Well, it's called an energy field. We're surrounded by energy fields. Right now, wherever you are, there's radio broadcasts playing through your room, television broadcasts are playing through, cell phone conversations are happening right now through your room. I go, well, there's a lot of energy in here. I say, yeah, but you can't see it. Why? Energy is invisible. Okay. So I say, so why is this so important here? And the answer is this. And I'll give you a quote from Albert Einstein. Okay. I emphasize this, if you ever took notes in your life, this is one time to take a note, okay? And I say, what is it? The quote, the field, which in quantum physics is the invisible energy that you're sitting in right now, okay? The field is the sole governing agency of what we perceive as matter. Energy shapes matter or what we perceive. I go, so why is that important? I go, well, you've been programmed to believe that your biology is controlled by these physical things called genes and DNA and all that stuff. I go, no, that's not what controls you. You're controlled by an energy field. I said, what energy field? Well, what's field? Let's give a definition. Field, invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. Okay? Oh, that's a field. Yeah. Oh, wait. Spirit, invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. Believe it or not, the most valid science on this planet today, quantum physics, recognizes that atoms are made out of energy. They're immaterial. There's no matter that makes them up, it's energy that makes them up. And there's an article that I give my students to read or in the courses, and the article comes from the most prestigious scientific journal on this planet, Nature. Most prestigious. There was an article in there from a physicist, Richard Conn Henry from Johns Hopkins University. I say, what's his article? It's called The Mental Universe. I say, you need to read the article? I go, you know what? It's all summarized in the last sentence. You have to read the article. I go, what's the last sentence? Listen, the universe is immaterial. Well, that's the physics. It says an atom is energy. It's not made of. The universe is immaterial. It's mental and spiritual. Live and enjoy. I said, oh my God. Quantum physics has identified an energy field as spirit, or spirit as an energy field. And I go, up until this point, as a scientist, as a professor in a medical school, we were never allowed to even use the word mind. Mind controlling biology. Oh, no, we don't talk about that. Drugs control biology. So we never use mind. Consciousness, you use even less. Why? Not even physical mind that you can say there's something there. I say, where's consciousness? I go, it's an energy. There's nothing physical to consciousness. And then I go, so you have a field called energy, and you can call part of that field spirit, meaning this. You are downloading a field of energy through your receptors called self-receptors. No two people are downloading the same energy field. They have different antennas. I go, so why is that important? You are a spirit. Okay, let's use the science term. You are a field that only you receive because only your receptors are tuned to that field. There's a human field. All of us are part of the human field, but each of us is our own unique field. It's sort of like a radio with a dial, remember, and you can move across. Let's say you have the FM band, and these are all FM stations, and you move it, and here's a station, then you move it, there's another station. Then each one of those is a different frequency. Okay, let's change the picture. This is the human biology wavelength. You're downloading this frequency. Melissa's downloading this frequency. I'm downloading this frequency. I say, what's the point? Each of us is connected to the radio band called human, but each of us has our own station. And I say, so, okay, wait, let me get all this right. And I'm going, yes, you have self-receptors. They are tuned to a field. I say, and your identity is the field playing through the self-receptors. If I take the receptors off, those self-receptors off your cell, no personal identity. That's how it can go into any human. But I put the self-receptors on, it can only come into my body. It will not go into Melissa's without her immune system rejecting it. Okay, now what are we talking about? Analogy moment. Analogy, you ready? A television does not have the show built into the television. The show is the broadcast picked up by the antenna playing through the television.
Correct.
If you're watching the TV and it breaks, we say the TV is dead. I go, yep, not working anymore. Question, did the broadcast die when the TV died? I don't know. The broadcast's not part of the TV. It's picked up by the TV because of the antenna. broadcast is here. I go, wait a minute. My identity, Bruce, is picked up by these antennas. But my identity, Bruce, is actually an energy field. Oh, spirit, same word, a spirit being picked up. My body is the television set. You are now, Melissa's got the Bruce show on the TV right here, okay? I go, why is that relevant? And the answer is, well, if your body dies, did your broadcast die? I go, nope, it's still there.
Yep.
And what? Well, what happened? Consider this. An embryo in the future shows up, and guess what? Has the same self receptors that you have. I say, oh, you're back. Different TV. You're back. It's called reincarnation. That is a material expression of a spirit coming back into a body picked up by a set of receptors that reads that spirit. Big important question comes in here. Does it make a difference if it's a male or female television? I go, nope, that's the television. You're the broadcast. Does it make a difference if the TV is white, brown, black, red, yellow? Nope, that's the TV. You're the broadcast. And if people understood this, the first thing they would recognize is if you have an aggression or anger or kill another human being, you are killing part of the same broadcast that you are. Why? All humans are in the same broadcast field.
Mm-hmm.
The body televisions look different, but we all came from the very same source. You cannot die. Your spirit is not part of the TV. It's a program. Okay? But then comes the important part. When the spirit comes into the body, it's modified by the programming of the body.
Yes.
What's that? Well, in the old days, because now you haven't seen them for a long time, there used to be a television set had a picture tube in it. And the picture tube was in the screen. And then if you look behind the TV, the picture tube narrowed down to a neck. Okay, so the picture tube had a shape in the front and then narrowed down to a neck. At the back of the neck is a gun that shoots an electron beam. And when it goes through the TV and hits the screen with fluorescent material, it lights up the screen. So there's a broadcast coming in. And as it goes through the screen, up to the screen, then you see the picture. But guess what? Around the neck of that tube is a yoke of electromagnetic coils. They make energy fields. I say, so what's relevant about them? They're the ones that make the picture out of the beam. The beam is the same beam, but the magnetic field cause it to move this way or whatever way. So it's now writing a picture as it goes down the screen based on the field and the intensity of it, how bright, how dark it is, or what color it is, and all that. Okay. So I say, so what? I say, the field is the source coming in,
Mm-hmm.
but the magnets are the programming that determines what the picture is going to be. Okay, now, this is so exciting because not many people know about this. And the reason why is because I only saw a fortuitous sample of what I was teaching embryology, teaching the brain and the sections. Well, the brain, depending on where the sections come through, could be sliced sideways, this way, depending on the orientation. I happened to see one slide one day, and one of the students showed me on their slide set. And I said, oh my God, it was the symmetry of the slide. It was a section through what is called the third ventricle of the brain. A ventricle means there's fluid inside, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The third ventricle of the brain, I wish I could show it to you, but I'll just try to illustrate it. Imagine a figure eight,
Right.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
With a little bleb at the top and a little bleb at the bottom with the figure eight in between. You
Mm-hmm.
ready? The top, let's do the bottom bleb. It's called the pituitary gland.
Mm-hmm.
That's called the master gland, okay? What's the bleb at the top? The pineal gland. I go, so why is this important? The pineal gland is picking up the broadcast and sending it through the brain like the tube on a television set. The screen is the pituitary gland because whatever picture is coming out, it's activating the chemistry of the pituitary gland to control the body. So I say, so it starts at the pineal gland, but as it goes through the ventricle on either side, the two pieces that make the figure eight,
Mm-hmm.
one is called the hypothalamus and the other is called the thalamus. I said, what are they? I say, the hypothalamus is in charge of the interior function of the body. The thalamus is in charge of what happens in the exterior environment. So I say, so what? I say, they generate energy fields. I go, so what? Your life experiences generate the fields through the hypothalamus, with your interior, your emotions, your feelings, and all that. And the thalamus just below it is broadcasting how you respond to the signals in the world. So I say, what happens? Your spirit comes in at the pineal. That's the pickup. It sends it to the pituitary. But on the way to the pituitary, your experiences from your inner world, the magnetic field, and your experiences from the outer world, thalamus, hypothalamus, inner experience, thalamus, outer experience, alter the beam. So
Mm-hmm.
when it reaches the pituitary gland, there's a picture based on what? Your life, what
That's
you experienced, and
individual
all
to
that.
you.
Okay. So all of a sudden it says, well, you're more than just your field coming in, your spirit,
Mm-hmm.
your learning, your experiences of being a human and your programming and all that is ultimately going to cause an alteration in the signal before it reaches the pituitary and manifests in your body. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it says, well, what controls this? I go, well, programming is a part. I go, programming? That's computer talk. I go, aha. Why? The brain is not like a computer. The brain is the computer. It has all the same functions as your laptop computer. If we really got deep and I had another 10 hours, I can show you that actually the computer was designed from the consciousness of the brain that reconstructed. We take our human technology, which is so advanced it's beyond our technical technology.
Mm-hmm.
Our human technology is later transformed into our technical reality through what? Thinking and consciousness. Okay? So I go, so what's going on now? So I say the brain is a computer. I go, yep, it works just like any computer you ever bought. I say, what's the point? Well, I say, in the old days, remember, programs didn't come with a computer. You just got a computer. So let's go back to the old days for a minute. I just bought a brand new computer. I plugged it in.
You
I
got all
pushed
the
the
hardware.
start button. The screen lights up. Oh, the computer is booted up. I say, okay, got a brand new computer. It's booted up. Let's do something. Write an article, draw a picture, make a spreadsheet. No, I can't do it. I go, what do you mean? You just spent $1,000 on this thing. You can't do anything? Not until I put some programs in the hard drive can I access a computer. Okay, now we're coming into Melissa's domain here. I go, what's that? The brain is a computer. The screen boots up 3 months before you're born, but you can't use a computer until you put programs in it. I said, well, how do you get programs? The brain operation is based on energy. I go, what do you mean? I said, well, you can put wires on a person's head. It's called electroencephalograph, and you could read brain vibrations. The higher vibration, the more consciousness. The average vibration I hope you're using right now is called beta, which is like schoolroom focus, attention, consciousness. After this program, relax. Oh, the vibration slows down. It goes from beta to what's called alpha, calm consciousness. Okay. Below calm consciousness is another vibration called theta. And theta is characterized as imagination. Okay. And then below that, the lowest vibration, delta, is absolute sleep. So I said, so what? For the first 7 years of a child's life, the vibration doesn't go into the consciousness realm. It's not predominant. The vibration is predominantly in theta. Well, that's imagination. I go, yes. That's how kids mix the real world and the imaginary world. I'm sure Melissa and even I did it. The imaginary tea party. We poured nothing into that cup. We drank the nothing. It was like, that's the best darn tea I ever had in my life. I go, that's imagination mixing with reality. I say, kids are endowed with that. Kids have imaginary friends. Kids ride a broom. It's not a broom in the mind. It's imagination. It's a horse.
Hmm.
Mother says, "Give me the broom," and the kid looks at her like, "I don't know what you're talking about," because it's not a
I'm
broom.
riding a horse.
I'm riding the horse. Okay. So here's the point. Theta is imagination. You ready for this one? Theta is hypnosis.
Hmm.
I go, well, what does that mean? From 3 months before you're born to 7 years, your brain is primarily in theta, which is hypnosis. What? Answer? How many rules do you have to know to become a functional member of a family? How many rules do you have to know to be a functional member of the community? All of a sudden, I say, it takes thousands of rules. No, don't take your clothes off when you're in the mall. You can do that at home, but we don't do, oh, well, that's a program. No, and don't do that because you learn these programs. How'd you learn them? A kid under 7 cannot go to a classroom. Kid under 7 cannot read a book. A kid under 7 would never understand a lecture. I said, well, but the kid under 7 has to know the program. I go, nature created the under 7 period as a state of primarily theta hypnosis. You want to be a member of the community? Watch them. Download their behavior. Why? It's like a video recorder. I'm watching what they're doing. I'm downloading it. Why? Because if I need the behavior, I have a resource. Okay? When I'm growing up and when you're growing up, the main focus at first are your parents. Why? They're your teachers. I say, how do they teach you? They just do their behavior. And what do? Record. You record everything. How to behave, what to do and what not to do. Okay. This is a programming period. It lasts through the first 7 years. And you get your programs from observing other people. I go, well, now there's a little problem in here. I'll tell you two little problems. Number one, did the program you downloaded from your parents, for example, offer the world that you want to have?
Hmm.
If they don't have your wishes and desires built into their program, you didn't get it from them. Okay? You got what they got. So, number one, did they answer your wishes and desires? Probably not. So, whatever program you download, it doesn't necessarily get you to your wishes and your desires. Number two, if they have a dysfunctional program, so do you. I'll give an example. My mother and father had a very dysfunctional relationship, but I'm a kid, 7 years under, 6, 5, 4, 2, 3, whatever. I'm watching my father because that's the nature of evolution. You get the program by watching your mother and your father. So I get the program of when I grow up, I want a partner like my mother because that was a relationship that ended up with my father, who I'm programming. So I say, cool. Problem? My mother and father had a dysfunctional relationship. I said, so what's the problem? I said, did I download great ability to have a relationship? No, just the opposite. I downloaded dysfunction. I say, so what was the problem? It took me over 40 plus years before I could find a relationship because I had to change. I didn't even know I had this functional relationship. Okay. It took me over 40 years to recognize it and to change it. Oh, well, let's talk about the result of that. After that, I met my partner Margaret about 50 years of age. And for the last 28 years, because we changed the programming I came with, I've had a honeymoon 28 years every day. I always like to joke, every stinking day I'm living heaven on earth. I am. I live totally heaven on earth. Why? Because the programs that I had have taken me away from that, and life became a struggle. And so I'll give a couple facts right here. Number one, only 5% of your life is coming from the conscious mind, which is creative, wishes and desires. I ask anybody, I say, tell me what you want in your life. The answer comes from conscious mind, creative. Oh, I want a great relationship. I want to be healthy. I want a great job, blah, 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 whatever I want. I go, great. How much of the day is that mind in control? 5%. Wow. 95% of the day, that mind is busy doing something else. I say, what? Thinking. Oh, wait. What does that mean? Well, the conscious mind could look out your eyes like the windshield of your vehicle and drive you to wishes and desires. But only 5% of the days it got the hands on the steering wheel. 95% of the day is thinking. I said, what's the difference? Thinking is not looking out. Thinking is looking in. A thought is inside. The moment you start thinking, you're not looking out. Okay? Hey, a bunch of you adults right now, guess what? When you get in your car and you're driving and you start to say, oh, I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to get some shoes and then I'm going to go to the grocery store and I'm going to do this and this. And I go, when you are thinking, when you're driving the car, you're not driving the car. I said, what do you mean you're me, Bruce, thinking about going to the store? Inside, thought. But my God, I'm driving the car. I didn't hit anybody. Seems to be everything going great. And I go, why? The subconscious hard drive programs represent autopilot. I don't have to pay attention to the driving. Why? I got a much more powerful computer, a million times more powerful computer is the subconscious versus the conscious. When it comes to driving the car, the subconscious is a better driver than I am. It sees more, it can handle more, it's faster than anything. Okay. So then let's come to a conclusion right here. 5% of the day you're operating from wishes, desires, creative, conscious mind. 95% of the day you're operating from programs. Oh, yeah? Where'd you get the programs? Other people. I go, well, Bruce, if you had a dysfunctional relationship from your father, you should have seen your behavior was dysfunctional. I go, aha. I said, what you didn't get is this. When I am thinking, I am not looking out. So whatever behavior is playing from the subconscious, I'm the only one that doesn't see it. Everybody else responding to me is responding to the behavior. I'm not even paying attention to the behavior because I'm inside. So I don't see my program 95% of the day. I go, so where's the issue coming here? And this ultimately we get to the most powerful part of Melissa's job. Okay. I go, where'd you get the program? I said, we downloaded it. Why? Because I was in hypnosis and I got it from my father. It's dysfunctional. I go, blah, blah, blah. I go, oh my God, my life is not coming from wishes and desires. I go, nope, it's coming from the program. But I can't see the program. I go, there's the problem. Because number one, you don't even think you're operating from a program. And yet 95% of your life is directly coming from the subconscious program. And therefore I say, well, what are your programs? Now here comes a problem. I go, why? I said, well, you were being programmed 3 months before you were born. You want to tell me the program you got when you were in the womb? I don't know what was going on. I wasn't there. Okay. Hey, wait, you were programmed a whole year from 0 to 1. You want to tell me the program when you got when you were 0? I wasn't there. Okay, wait. You were programmed another whole year from 1 to 2. Okay, tell me the program you got when you were 1. I wasn't there. Okay. By the time from 2 to 3, some consciousness starts slipping in there a bit. And you might have some memory of some experiences that happened to you. So all of a sudden you can say, oh, yeah, my dad did this and my mom did that. I say, yeah, but tell me from 2 lower. You've had all this programming. Tell me what the program is. You go, I have no idea. I say, yeah, but you're running that program 95% of the day. So I'm going to give you a fact. Your life is a printout of your subconscious. It's working 95% of the day. So even though you can't tell me what the program is, I can say, well, look at your life because it's a printout of that program. So I'll give you a simple understanding. The things you like that come into your life, they come in because you have a program to acknowledge those things. But the things you wish for, desire, or aspire to, and you find that it's hard and you struggle and you're working hard, you're sweating over it. You're putting a lot of energy into this. I'm working real hard to make this. I say, whatever you were trying to accomplish, whether it's love, health, job, or whatever it is, and you're struggling, it's not because you can't have it. It's a reflection of the fact that the program you got does not support that. And you're going to try to override the program. I say, mathematically, a very difficult problem. Why? The creative part's only operating 5% of the day anyway. And the 95% that's coming from the subconscious is a processor that's a million times more powerful than the conscious mind. Mathematically, that conscious mind's not going to go, okay, change the program. And I love it because a lot of people say, well, I gave myself a good talking to. I said, don't do this anymore. I said, don't eat that donut. Don't eat that donut. And there I am eating a donut. I said, what the hell's wrong? I said, don't eat the donut. I said, who was I talking to? Well, I was telling my subconscious not to eat the donut. Then how come I have a donut in my hand? You ready? There's nobody in the subconscious. It's the same as the hard drive on your computer. Right now, if you have an issue, please take a moment and talk to your hard drive and tell it to do something different. Okay, I'm on with beautiful Melissa and I'm talking to her, and now I'm going to offer insight to my hard drive. Hard drive, play some cartoons. Okay, play a movie. Okay, play something else. Hard drive, do something. Damn it, the hard drive's not listening to me. I go, why? There's nobody in there. So when you try to talk to yourself and change a program, I go, who are you talking to? I'm talking to a hard drive. I go, there's nobody in there. And that's why change has been difficult for people because we always believe that the conscious mind, when it becomes aware of something, the subconscious mind should also become aware. I go, the conscious mind can think, the subconscious mind does not think. The subconscious mind just plays programs. And I can say there are good programs and there are bad programs. It was like Freud, the subconscious is where all the evil comes from. Oh, you mean the hard drive is evil? No, no, the hard drive's not evil. The subconscious is not evil. The programs can be evil, but you put the programs in. And all of a sudden it says, well, wait, then I'm the one that's responsible to change the program. Oh, yeah, that's true. Because until you change it, you are the program your whole life. Now, some programs are good. I'll give you an example. When did you learn how to walk? Oh, before you were 2 years of age. How old are you today? 102, and you're still walking. I go, what? That's the same original program that you got before, too. It's in there 100 years. It's not going to change until you change it. Any program that goes in is not going to change until you change it. I say, well, the issue is change is hard. I go, why? Because I keep trying. I say, yeah, but what are you doing? I keep talking to myself. I read a lot of self-help books. I got a lot of information. I should be very smart, and I'm not. I go, why? I go, because the conscious mind, when it learns, doesn't translate into subconscious program. My knowledge is more powerful than my program. I go, so what? Well, my life is still run by my program. My knowledge is not relevant. In fact, true, Melissa, when I started to understand the nature of how mind controls and programs the genes, epigenetics,
Mm-hmm.
I was so excited. I wanted to tell everybody because I said, oh my God, if you understand this science, you can create the most fabulous life. So
Mm-hmm.
I gathered people together. I say, now I'm going to tell you the science. And if you understand the mechanism of science, you can create the most beautiful life. And they look at me and they go, Bruce, for a guy who says you know this stuff, your life doesn't look that good. Uh-oh, caught. What do you mean caught? I was telling them how to do it, and I wasn't doing it. Oh, there's a difference between the conscious mind awareness. Yeah, this is how it works versus take how it works, make a program out of it, then manifest it. If you don't make a program out of it, it's wonderful information up here, but it's useless. It doesn't mean anything. Why? Because if it doesn't come into 95% of your life, then it's really not contributing very much at all. So then you need to reprogram it. I go, yeah. And it's wonderful. You know why? Because you can do it. I said, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, look at your life. You're the one that's running the program. Where are you struggling in your life? It's not because nature says you must struggle. It's because your program doesn't support that destination. I said, well, how'd you get the program? I said, hey, first 7 years, your brain was in theta. What's that? Hypnosis. What's the point? Well, if I can reactivate theta, I can do new hypnosis and put in my programs, what I want to be real in my life versus the one I downloaded from my father. So, okay? And when I understood the nature of programming and how it was interfering with my life, which I didn't know because the programming is invisible, you don't know you're playing a program. Every now and then, yeah, actually, sometimes you do. You know when? When you were thinking, you were playing the program. But when you're coming out of a thought, if the program is still playing its last little bit, sometimes as you're coming out of that thought, there's a little awareness that goes, oh my gosh, I was being just like my mom. I heard my mom there. I heard my dad. And I go, you just woke up at the end of the whole program. It's playing the whole time. You were being your dad, your mom, your program, because that's 95% of your life. So how can you change? I said, well, how'd you get it? Well, primarily, the main way you got it before age 7 is you were in theta. I said, can you get back into theta? Of course you can get back into theta, but you got to do a program to get back in it. You got to do something to get back into theta. Now, I'm going to leave what to do to Melissa because that's what she does. So why should I tell her what her job is? She can tell you what her job is. Her job is to help you understand you have been programmed. So I say, oh, really? So then I'll bring up this little tidbit, which I always love because I bring it up in my lecture. I go, most of you seen a movie called The Matrix. And I say, it's listed as science fiction. I go, The Matrix is a documentary. Come on. I go, yeah. Why? What's the premise? We're all been programmed. I go, well, that's a scientific reality. We're all programmed through age 7. But the part that really is the most exciting part is there's a red pill. And if you take that red pill, you can get out of the program. Well, guess what? Almost all of you have taken that red pill at least once, and it dramatically, profoundly changed your life in 24 hours. When was that? You ready? When you fell in love. And I go, why? What was important about that? And the answer is, uh, um, uh, the answer is this: when you fell in love, that you were now not thinking. I go, what does that mean? Well, it's a red pill. I go, what do you mean? Well, thinking is what causes you to shift into the program. And when you fall in love, you stop thinking. I go, what do you mean I stop thinking? You become what is called mindful. You become what is called present. I go, what does that mean? Normal day, 5% conscious control, wishes and desires. Fall in love, over 90% of your behavior is now coming from the wishes and desires versus a small percent coming from the program. All of a sudden, guess what? It's the red pill. You stop playing the program. I said, tell me what was the result of stop playing the program? You experience something called heaven on earth. I go, wow, wait a minute. That's called the honeymoon. I go, yes, it is. You created that. I go, wait, I created that? Well, then how come I don't have it all the time? How come it disappears? Because the only reason you created it is you stop thinking. But once you're in the relationship for a bit, thinking will come back in. I go, so what? I say, when you were not thinking, your behavior was based on your wishes and your desires. The moment you were thinking, the programs that haven't played show up. And those are the dysfunctional ones we got during the first 7 years. And the problem is, you didn't even see you did it. But your partner sees, where'd that behavior come from? What? You never played a negative behavior when you started. You played wishes and desires. Then a negative behavior shows up. You created it. You didn't see it. Why? It was a behavior, unconscious, subconscious, plain. Your partner sees it and goes, who are you? What kind of behavior is that? Well, that's only one behavior. Stay a little longer, every day longer, more of those negative behaviors start showing up. I said, what's the result? 50% of marriages disappear in divorce. I go, why? Because the person they married, the conscious, creative wishes and desires person, only operated during that 5% time after the honeymoon. The rest of that life is now controlled by the programs, dysfunctional as they are. How many? 60% or more of the programs you downloaded are disempowering, self-sabotaging, or limiting your ability. And I go, so how can you get out of it? I say, well, stop thinking. Well, you did when you fell in love, but it doesn't last. You have to get back into the world. Why? You got jobs, responsibilities, you got things you got to do. So I said, well, then the only other choice is this. If you can't stay conscious the whole time, reprogram that subconscious. Then you go, well, what do I need to reprogram? I say, the printout is telling you what you need. Whatever you're struggling with, whether it's a job, trying to lose weight. Lose weight. I go, yeah. Well, because my conscious mind, wishes and desires said, I really want to be thinner. I go, that's great. Who controls the weight? The subconscious is where the weight is set. I say, so what? Conscious says, I want to be thinner 5% of the day, and 95% of the day, your subconscious says, you're the weight you're at because that's the program. I say, you want to lose weight. Don't try and force it with the conscious mind. First, change the setting in the subconscious mind, and then you will have control. And so the issue is this: is your life heaven on earth every day at this moment? I can answer the question for myself. Yes. It's the most exciting thing that ever happened in my life. I had to be 50 years old before I understood it. But for the last 28 years, as I mentioned, every day I wake up and it's just like day one honeymoon. Here I am, still loving all this. Why? Because when my partner and I got together, Margaret understood the nature of the programming because she was involved in a workshop training program system that she was involved with. So we both knew about the program. I say, why is that important? Because if a negative program showed up in our relationship, Margaret or me, if it came from her, would say, oh, that's a program manifesting. Do you want that program? And I go, what program? Why? Because whatever I just said, I didn't hear it. She heard it. Then she said, you said this. I go, oh, no, I didn't mean that. And all of a sudden, I start to see the difference between my intention and the program. And the most important part of this, and this applies to everybody out there, instead of an argument, which is the natural result of a program showing up unexpected, unannounced, and unaware by the recipient, it always leads to an argument. You said that. You meant that. Blah, 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 blah. Then all of a sudden, two subconscious fighters are in the room. Conscious mind disappeared from the whole thing, going, what the hell is going on here? And the idea about it is simply this: what if both people in a relationship understood when a negative program came up, it wasn't that person, it was their program? Because if I can change the program, then rather than getting into an argument, which makes the program deeper, it's getting into, let's change that. I say, well, how can you change it? Well, I don't have to say that. That's Melissa's show. I'm just talking about the mechanism of it right now. You can change it with hypnosis. Why? Because that's how you got the damn program in the first place. And you can change it again that way. So the important part of understanding is simply this. Guess what? Your life is not heaven on earth. It's not because you can't have it. It's your programming that you're playing invisible to you, visible to everybody else, that is self-sabotaging. And since you don't see yourself making the program, what does that leave the average person to believe? I'm a victim. I wanted to have a great job, oh, but that person interfered in this person. I wanted to be in love. Well, that person messed up this and that person threw that. And I'm the victim looking at all the people who in some way interfered with my wish and desire. I go, they didn't do that by accident. They were responding to you, and you didn't even see you were saying the stupid things that ended up making the problem. So I have a moment here. I can give the story that I've said for 40 years. Probably Melissa's heard it 1,000 times, but it's simple and it's profoundly important. I go, what is it? You have a friend, and you know your friend's behavior very, very well. And you happen to know your friend's parent. And one day you see your friend is doing the same behavior as the parent. So you offer it. Hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. I say, back away from Bill, because I know the answer, and you do too, because you heard him. And Bill, I know what he's going to say. He's going to say this: how can you compare me to my dad? I am nothing like my dad. Well, the joke is what? 95% of the day he is like his dad. Yeah, but he's the only one that doesn't see it. Everyone else sees it. I say they're responding to his program that he, Bill, does not see because he's playing it when he's not paying attention. I go, well, that makes sense. And then here comes the one that, right, I have to say it, right? Here we go. We are all Bill. Every one of us is doing this every day. And the only way you know what's happening is look at the printout of your life and tell me if you're struggling. Because if you're struggling someplace, it's not because the universe won't give it to you, it's your own program of limitation that is manifesting. And this is why, my dear friends, Melissa has something to offer you to re-empower you. Take back your life. You didn't even know you gave it away because it happened before you were conscious. You were disempowered by beliefs that are not true. You believe that genes control your life. I go, that's 100% false. Because if genes control your life, you're saying I'm a victim of my heredity. These genes came to me. I got the cancer gene from my mom. There is no cancer gene. Yep, there's not one gene that causes cancer. That's what, where'd the cancer come from? The programs of disharmony that are passed from parent to child, from mother to daughter. Yeah, it must be genetic because my grandma had breast cancer, my mom had breast cancer, and I have the breast cancer gene. I go, you can possess a gene, doesn't mean you have breast cancer. Half the people with the breast cancer gene don't even get the breast cancer. What's the point? Possession of the gene didn't cause the cancer. It was a lifestyle and disharmony that caused the cancer. I say, so well, you want to get rid of the cancer? You want to kill the cancer cells? I go, no, they already got the cancer. What do you want to change? The disharmony. That's where it came from. Okay? So you can kill all the damn cancer cells you want, but if you didn't change the program, there are more cancer cells in your future because the cancer cell was already turned into a cancer cell. You never answered the question as why did it become a cancer cell? All you're doing is saying, I will kill those damn cancer cells. I go, yeah, but you in no way interfere with what caused the cancer. It's a belief issue. Oh, yeah, passed through families. Yeah. That's where genetics and belief got mixed up because we always think anything that runs through a family must be genetic. I go, beliefs run through family with the same accuracy as genetics run through families. Cancer is a belief passed through a family. Cardiac disease, a belief passed through family. Diabetes, 100% belief lifestyle. And everyone wants to blame the genes. They go, the genes caused these problems. They go, in the world's health crisis today, less than, here it goes, 1% of disease is even connected to genes. 99 plus percent of disease has no influence by genes. It's all influenced by how you respond or learned about the environment in which you were born. And I want to say that because otherwise you bought the belief you're a victim. And the moment you bought that, you become, I'm a victim. I have no power. I say, then what? Well, where are you going to get your power from? Because you now have no power. Who is going to give me power? The pharmaceutical company is going to give me power. I go, oh, God. Because they took away your belief that you could do this. And the fact was, no, follow Melissa. You don't need to take the damn drugs. You need to change the program. The drugs don't change the program. They just prevent you from dealing with the reality of the program. Give me a pain pill. Okay, I don't feel it anymore. Give me an antidepressant. Oh, I'm not so depressed anymore. I go in your conscious mind, but guess what? Subconscious mind still has the same playlist. It's going to play the same damn programs, even if you're not paying attention. God, Melissa, I kept talking and talking. I'm sorry. The conversation disappeared when I took over.
Well, I love it. I love everything that you've shared here today and, just the explanation and your analogies of how programs are running our life and how we've
Yes.
been running those same programs over and over again since that 0 to 7 age group. And what I love is the fact that we can change those programs. We don't have to
Thank
be the
God.
victim. We get to make a choice and we do get to create heaven on earth as you have done, as I get to live in my life because it is a choice.
Right.
And
But it's not just a choice, it's a process as well.
yes,
I
absolutely.
can have a choice. Okay, choice. I don't want that bad behavior. I still have it.
Yes, you still have the
Why?
bad
I
behavior.
didn't do a process.
Yes,
And the process is in her hands, not mine, because I can give you the science and let her do the process. That's the real hard work. Not that hard, actually.
it
It's really
isn't.
easy work. It's funny because one of the beliefs that makes change difficult is the belief that change is difficult.
Right.
If you
That's
believe that,
yeah.
then immediately you put a filter in the front that says, well, this is going to be hard to change. And I go, well, now that you believe that, it's going to be hard to change. The first thing is, no, it's not hard. You just have to understand how to push the record button.
Exactly. So I absolutely love this. Thank you so much for coming and sharing all that I've been sharing in my own words with my audience. And now you've brought the science behind it, your years of research, and a different voice. Because let's face it, people need to hear things more than one time before they act.
Learning knowledge is power, and sometimes that knowledge just went right through and came out the other
Exactly.
side. Or sometimes, and here's the bigger problem, you might have the knowledge, but you haven't been able to apply the knowledge.
Yes,
And
exactly.
that's where I was when I kept telling people, let me show you how to have a great life, and my life sucked. Like, why would anybody believe me? But now, guess
Now,
what?
now they do,
Like,
because you're
I
living proof.
love my life. I love life. I'm not ready to leave this beautiful, creative world, and I need to close, but let me close with this. Ready?
Hmm.
Another belief, another program is what? Well, if you have a really good life and follow my rules, says Mr. Religion person, then you will be allowed to go to heaven where you can have all the creative ability to manifest what you think heaven is. And I go, you didn't realize you came here to heaven. This is where the creation part of our spirit is involved because spirit is now put into a virtual suit that can move and think and create. Now, spirit's not in here, spirit's playing through here. You came in with a suit to manifest. And if you don't like what you're manifesting, stop blaming the suit. Start looking at the program. And then all of a sudden you have an option to make it do a manifestation that you would prefer, like health, happiness, love, heaven, these wonderful things. They're all available. They've always been available, but you didn't have the knowledge. Lack of knowledge, lack of power. Melissa will guide you, take you, lead you into that world that we all want. She has the knowledge. Thank you, Melissa.
And thank you so much, Bruce. And it just brings us back full circle that knowledge is power. So thank you
That's
for
the
coming,
game.
sharing your knowledge. I truly appreciate it. And I just want to say to my listeners, thank you so much for tuning in, supporting the Don't Wait for Your Wake Up Call podcast each and every week. And if this anything of what Dr. Bruce Lipton shared with you today, if you know others in your life that also need to hear it, please share this episode with them because the world needs to know that we can create heaven on earth right here, right now.
Yeah,
Thank you very, very much for being here, Bruce. It is such an honor to have
thank
you on the
you.
show. I want to share with you today an exciting new program that we are offering in fall of 2024. It is a 60-day program giving you 4 designations in that time frame. And over the course of the 2 months, we're not working together every single day. However, each training that we teach builds on the next. And so the first week, there's a short training, some homework, a check in as a group before we go into the next training. And throughout this entire program, you are going to be learning about your unconscious mind, learning self hypnosis, higher self hypnosis, getting a designation as a hypnotherapist in the Krasner method. You will also be designing your destiny, and you will be participating in an 8-day mind body practitioner training that gives you designations in the practitioner level of NLP, neuro linguistic programming, timeline therapy, another hypnotherapy training, and this time in the Ericksonian method, and then as an NLP results coach. So these are powerful certifications or designations that are recognized in over 40 countries around the world. that allow you to be getting out and working with your clients and helping them get the real transformation they're looking for the easy way, using the tools of the unconscious mind, releasing their trauma without even having to talk about it. So if this is something you'd like to know more about, check out the link in the show notes. Click on the link and book a call with either Billy, my training partner, or myself, and we would be happy to have a conversation with you about where you can go in your career with these designations in just 60 days.